in our environment, in our ecosystem, and actually to look after them and not just spray them away or scream when you have a bug, because any insect or bug has a vital role to play in our lives, in our ecosystem. So let's welcome Brother Muhammad Nizar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome Brother Muhammad Nizar.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's good to be on the show again.
Am I correct? You root for the insects, so you are the khokha lover, the khokha man.
Okay. Well, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. No, I have, alhamdulillah, I have spent some significant time in my life, alhamdulillah, researching in the university and looking at khokhas or khokhakis, or as you would mispronounce it in Canadian English. I'm a Canadian South African. I would say goggagees.
Oh, okay.
But we have I've been spending much time, alhamdulillah, looking at bees of all kinds, looking at beetles, looking at different kinds of flies. They all have they have different terminology in the scientific entomological world. We would say, Hymenoptera, Diptera, and so on and so forth, more complex names, but that's not really necessary right now. The main thing, I have spent time researching. It was a part of my thesis. I spent time looking at the recovery and the restoration of bees, and also the restoration of vegetation, wild natural vegetation after pine forests were burnt down in a wildfire. So I discovered, I did research in that and looked into the recovery of bee biodiversity and plant biodiversity. So that's what I have done. I've also spent some time looking at doing some agricultural research assistance work for Leeds University and Stellenbosch universities in looking at parasitoids, Hymenopteran parasitoids. That's the tiny little wasps that are highly beneficial in many contexts for us agriculturally, because they get rid of pests on trees and so on and so forth. And by making sure that we have a balanced way of maintaining our orchards, that means that we don't destroy all the good khokhakis. Of course, agriculture looks at the world in this, binary state. It's either beneficial or it's harmful insect. And actually, we need to look at the world, I think, in a more balanced way, that every insect has their role to play. And even if we try to get rid of the so-called harmful ones, it's not really going to be possible, because, well, they're just so small and there's so many of them, and they're amazing. Allah has created them with amazing industrious capacity to survive even the worst kind of poisons we spray on them. So, but last week, I think you wanted to talk now.
The 5 R's
about bees.
Yes, we were talking about bees. So I wanted, because I was very fascinated, because
Sorry.
Can you hear me? Brother Nizar, Muhammad Nizar?
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Something is happening right now. I'm going to just...
Okay.
That's better? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. You broke up, but now
again.
Can you hear me?
I apologize.
Yes. So last week you explained to us the importance of bees. Specifically, then we focused on honeybees, because you educated us that there are about 30 different species of bees, which I didn't know existed. For me, a bee is a bee, and all bees were honeybees. But you put us in the path of education, and you educated us in terms of the types of bees, and then we focused on the honeybee, and then you explained to us why there was globally the bee population has been declining. And then I asked you that I'm always the one that sees things as the glass is half full as opposed to half empty, and I asked you, how can we as ordinary civilians, as ordinary human beings, assist in terms of restoring the bee population? And then we stopped at a cliffhanger, because you said you have this holistic but an Islamic insight in terms of how do we protect our environment, and you had the 5 R's. And I said, we can link the 5 R's or see a parallel in the 5 pillars of Islam. So can can we focus then on your 5 R's in terms of us being part of that restorative process in the ecosystem?
Well, there's a lot that we can do, Sister Mariam. It all starts, as I said, with the 5 R's. I like to say the 5 R's. Western or conventional thinking speaks of the 3 R's: reduce, reduce, recycle. But last week, after we discussed the bee problem with the threats that bees are facing from insecticides, loss of habitat, loss of forage, from disease, and from stress. Beekeeping is moving hives is a high stress bit of an experience for a beehive. As we discussed that last week, we finished off saying that there is something to do, and there are 5 R's. Something that has, for me, makes sense is to think about the 5 R's, and that is to rethink our intentions and to renew our intentions, and then to go on to the reduce and the reuse and the recycling human behaviors that we have to change in order to have a positive effect on the world. Rethinking Nia is such a central part of our faith and of all faiths, actually, and that is that why do we do something? So we have to start with personally, individually, start thinking why do we do something, and then make sure we have the correct intention, and then we renew it. It's nice down in Cape Town where I live. They renew the niyat for fasting in Ramadan every night in Ramadan, and they make a renewal. Whereas in upcountry in the Hanafi madhab, they don't do that. But it is still, even in the Hanafi madhab, they still say that it's still good to renew your intention. So when we go to take a bite of food, we realize that 1 out of every 3 bites of food, bees played a crucial role in the production of that food. So why are we going to waste all of that wonderful effort that all those bees are doing by letting our food go to waste? And what are we going to do when we ingest that food? What are we going to do with the energy that we get into our body from eating that food? What are we going to do with it? I mean, you're not going to eat something good and then go do something wrong. You have to have a positive intention that, oh Allah, I'm eating this food to do good deeds, to help the poor, to help the country, to take care of my family, and so on. You have to have a good, clean intention. So you rethink your intention, and then you renew your intention. And that, with that in mind, everything follows from that. It goes right into the wudu for making salah. Many of, in the Muslim faith, of course, to the non-Muslim listeners who are out there, we wash ourselves before we pray. And how much water are we using? If you're going to waste 6 to 10 liters of water while making wudu, then you're definitely going to waste the water of Allah's ma'rifah, Allah's experiential knowledge that you can get, and see the guidance that you can get in salah. So it starts with intention. Everything, what is your intention? You're going to eat food for doing good deeds. You're not going to waste it to do good things. You're not going to waste the food. And you're going to try to get tayyib food. You're not going to go, you're not going to go and just have junk food as well. You can try to have tayyib, healthy food. And then so it comes from our personal habits, not wasting food, not wasting our water wudu. And then only once that comes, you've done a perfect wudu in your salah, you've done a perfect salah, you said, Ihdina Sirat Mustaqim, you ask Allah for guidance, and then you go through your day-to-day behaviors throughout your day in a conscious state of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, experientially with what you're doing. So, for example, with respect to, you want to get involved with helping out with the problems the bees are facing the world, well, it starts with personal habits. Where are you buying your food? What kind of food are you buying? Are you buying healthy food? Are you buying, for most of South Africans, of course, we're living hand to mouth. You can't expect most South Africans to buy expensive, more environmentally produced food necessarily all the time. So we have to just go down to our own level of sacrifice that each of us are able to do. Those of us, alhamdulillah, we got 2 maids at home. We can buy more expensive Woolworths or what have you, environmentally conscious companies who can choose the very most organic produce available. Those are good things as well. There are now some movements to produce bee-friendly agricultural produce. I just saw on the market the other day a tangerine and narchi that's produced which they don't spray with lots of pesticides, and they don't need to spray them because the procedure of normally spraying them, it has an effect on bees. It kills bees, but this one they produce a new nartine right now, or a mandarin, I forget which one it is, and it actually it's much more bee-friendly produce. You can look for that when you go to buy food. It will be more expensive. So all of this comes down to what are you willing to do, how much are you willing to afford? If you're going to, and then of course, then there's the more collective effort that we can do. And for the very poorest of the poorest in South Africa, and that's the vast majority of South Africans, I'm going to say right now, get out on election day and make sure you vote. Choose one of the companies. You can call them companies, but they're actually it's ANC, there's DA, whatnot. But I would go for one of them, any of them that seems to have some kind of policy or is able to be more environmentally friendly. Get out and vote, and then become involved in some way. For the vast majority of South Africans, which are quite poor, I would say, do something to help yourself by growing a little bit of produce at home. Grow some tomatoes at home. Grow some onions at home. Grow some spinach at home. And then sit there, and while you're watering them every second or third day, look at the bees, the different kinds of bees. You will notice it's not only honeybees coming to those flowers. You will see, if you start looking at them all the time, eventually you realize, oh, that didn't look like a honeybee. That looked like a different kind of a bee. And you start realizing that it's not just honeybees we need. We need all insects, and they're all different kinds of bees. As I was saying in my research that I was doing, there's honeybees was actually a small part of my research. We were focusing on all of the wild bees. Honeybees is Apis mellifera, as the present entomological name for the honeybee species it has. There are some 30,000, 40, or even more odd bee species out in the world. That means there's still 29,999 odd species out there. And when you start looking at the plants that you're going, you'll notice that there's new ones. So get involved. And if you are lucky enough to not be of the poorest of the poor in South Africa, then you can get involved in more political sense. You can get involved in environmental groups. You can try to help the poorest of the poor, starting with food gardens, growing vegetables, handing out seeds. Just go as a sadaqah, go meeting people and say, listen, here's some seeds. Here's a half a pot of soil. Why don't you grow yourself a tomato at home? Grow yourself some peppers at home, and you see how much blessings and barakah there is in that, inshallah ta'ala. As well, because the reduce and reuse and recycle, everybody has their space. And having lived in Canada for half my life, and now in South Africa for some 23 odd years, I have to say, I think we are far behind on the recycling game in South Africa. It's we have to stop depending upon just throwing our garbage away in the bins. We should start going through our garbage and not allow the very poorest of the poor to have to force themselves to make their means by coming and rooting through our garbage. It's a very disappointing thing to see that so many South Africans, so many of us, we allow the poorest of the poor to root through our garbage and say, oh, that's just a normal thing. That's not the healthy way we should be doing it. We should be doing them the service and separating what is recycling, and then give it to them, and then give them some peanuts or something so that they can eat, But really get involved in the recycling and reduction and reusing. These things can be done with a specifically spiritual intention in the Islamic sense of them. We don't reduce and reuse and recycle purely on what we call the present, money, cash is king economic paradigm. Don't reduce and reuse and recycle just because we can be saving money or making it. Reduce and reuse and recycle because it forms a central part of our deen, the very lowest level of faith, called imatatul ada an tariq. That is, and some of the brothers have gone out in Jamaat, and some of the people going out, they are always told, subhanAllah, to move garbage from the way. Well, what about the garbage that you're producing? Can't you reduce the garbage that you're producing? Can't you? Even everything so much can be recycled, so there's always a level. So start with just at least doing the cans and the glass and the plastics, And then there's always a level higher to go to. So those, if you're already doing that, well, then let's see if you can go and start removing from your yogurt jars that little, there's like a little, I'm not sure if you're listening, Mariam, if there's you have a little, an aluminum covering over a plastic, over a yogurt jar.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can actually, that's aluminum. You can remove it, you can clean it, you can put it into a can. It will get recycled. It's metal, it can be recycled. So make an extra, and once people start having huge amounts of recycling stuff available, then suddenly people will have a value for it, and there will be money to be made for those poor that are living hand to mouth in the country, and we can make the khidmat. So don't let them root through your garbage. Recycle, separate it, and give it to them instead separately. Or even better, go and take it yourself to the recycling depot. So that's one thing you can start to do a lot better of. And then one more thing that's really we have to get in this country, I think. I think there's a lot we really make a point that I will never, ever, ever, inshallah, litter again. Even the smallest wrapper from, those little sweets. You have those, they call them smoothies, the tiny little sweets, and don't even, if there are 7.5 billion people in the world today, and every single one of them takes a smoothie wrapper and throw it, I think if you calculate it, we can do a calculation. It comes to, not just a few tons, but I mean, tens and possibly even 100 tons of plastic waste. That's an awful lot of garbage. So make a niyat for now. I will never litter and throw garbage. Whether I'm walking in the street or in the car, I will always put the garbage in the bin. And there's so much that can be done, Mariam. I was thinking as well about reusing water. We just because we have lots of water, we can afford lots of water, doesn't mean you should waste it, obviously. And in this country now, we're having we've had some water restrictions. I don't know. We've been very lucky in Cape Town here. We've had some very good rain this year. I don't know, how's it going up in Joburg? Do you still have lots of water in the fall up there in Joburg?
Well, we had, alhamdulillah, on Saturday our first good spring shower. So we make dua, inshallah, because now it's our rainy season. So inshallah, let's see how it goes in dua.
Cape Town and Joburg are reversed. We have a Mediterranean climate here in Cape Town, and that means you get cool, wet winters and hot, dry summers. But you have more of the subtropical, classical rain, African rain that up in Joburg and in the rest of the country there, where it rains in the summer mostly. Your winters are cooler and drier. So don't waste water. If the water is such a ni'mah, if you're wasting water, and the worst thing is that you waste water in wudu. The spiritual means for our non-Muslims, wudu is the water, of course, you use for ablutions to purify before prayer. If you waste that gift of Allah's water, then definitely you're going to waste Allah's gift of His remembrance and dhikr and ma'rifah in salah.
Brother Muhammad Nazir? I think we've just lost Brother Muhammad Nazir. Brother Muhammad Nazir, can you hear me? Okay, let me just see if we can get, we're going to go for a short break, and let's get Ziad to get him back. I think it's a drop call or problem in connection.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
Dad, well, I've been chatting with an investment broker today, and...
Broker? Did the broker tell you that our economy is a mess? There's bushfires in Australia, America wanted World War III, and now the coronavirus is traveling around the world.
Well, I also thought about purchasing some crypto.
Crypto? What's that, like another pyramid scheme? I don't trust what I can't see.
There's an apartment in Belito.
So all your family will be asking to stay there for free. And what if the government takes it away, eh?
Dad, I don't think it works like that.
I'll tell you what works. Gold. At your age, I invested in gold coins and it paid for your university fees and your wedding. No contracts, no agreements. Your investment is in your hands and you own it. With a 70% growth in only 5 years, do you still doubt gold investment? Contact RJ Coin today, 031 202 4701, or visit them at 151 Stephen Lamini Road in Musgrave, Durban. Randery Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange, your passport to gold investment.
Tune into Salam Media via audio stream or watch live facebook.com/Salam Media.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome back.
Right.
And Assalamu alaikum, Brother Mohammed Nazir. We had a temporary break in transmission. Okay, so you were telling us in terms of the water, we're focusing on the water.
Yes, wa alaikum salam. Sorry about that. We got cut off there a bit. But I was saying there's so much that can be done in our day-to-day lives. And I think we should, one of the things we can do, we spend some time in contemplation and in meditation and in the gifts and making thankfulness to our Creator and to God for these gifts. We can make it like what you call like a shukr meditation thing whilst we're watering our gardens and thinking about how Allah has given us so much and how God, Almighty God, He's given us so much. How can we be thankful? How can we fulfill the responsibility of these gifts? One more thing that I do want to mention, I do offer a consultancy service to homes, private homes and small and medium enterprises looking to start some kind of ecological consciousness program or ecological or agriculturally conscious program, whether it's a business or a school. I can be reached at my email is tayyiboasis@gmail.com. That's TA.
What we'll do is, Brother Mohammed Nazir, I'll leave you. I think it will be better if you I'll put you back to our engineer and you leave your details there, and whoever is interested, they'll give you a call. They'll call us.
Okay,
And
all
then
right.
we'll forward it.
I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say that here, but thank you
So what
much.
we'll do is we'll leave it with Ziad, or Dudu will have it, and then if any of our listeners are interested in the services you offer, they can get it from you as well.
Okay, no problem. Was there anything else you wanted to ask about questions? There are things that
what we'll do is now I'd like to make this understanding the importance of all the role players within our ecosystem, especially insects in there, and I'd like to once a month, inshallah, follow a series just so that we become more aware. When you were speaking earlier in terms of useful or harmful, sort of to speak, a bug or insect in it, and I was just thinking, we spray these insecticides over our agricultural crop, but it's actually we were encroaching on their lands. If you look at it, this is their home, this is their hood, this is their habitat, and now we came there as invaders. I understand the need for food supply and that, but surely every living insect or every living organism has a specific purpose that the Almighty is created from, and that is what I'd like to do. So inshallah, we will get you on another aspect just to make us all aware that they are vital role players in our ecosystem, and we all need to live together and understand each other. Be it the tiniest organism to a whale, everything has a place and everyone has a place, and it's like you say, it's about Nia, and also for me, very, very important are in the whole ecosystem is about respect. Respect everything and everyone and every being in our beautiful planet. So for me, the respect is important. So we will, inshallah, get you on for future segments, and then we'll break it up in various aspects. And if there's anything that coming from you that is important that we should highlight, this is the platform for you as well. So Jazakallah for your time and this invaluable insight and information into the insects that make up our ecosystem.
Okay, you're very welcome, Shukran. I mean, thank you for having me on.
Assalamu
Jazakallah khair.
alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That
Alaikum
was
assalam.
Brother Muhammad Nizar, small scale agroecology consultant. And if anybody wants his details, please do give us a call here at Salam Media. And Sister Dudu or Brother Ziad would oblige with Brother Muhammad Nizar's details. Let's go for a short break, and then we're going to go into our new